This is the fitter's first look at the Callaway Epic Flash driver. A very exciting time. I've seen this product live, and we've also managed to get a few cutaways, which is really cool. But the big story here is going to be the AI, or artificial intelligence, that's been used to design this face specifically. And so it's the first time in anything consumer-wise that a supercomputer has been used to actually physically design this face. And when I saw it for the first time, I actually had the chance to meet Alan Hucknall, who's the designer behind it. And he said to me, when we ran the first model of it, it worked. But he said, honestly, I didn't really know why it worked, because it was designed by a computer. So it's not human designed, it's computer designed. So what does that mean? I mean, it all sounds very good and all, but
certainly. I mean, you brought it to me and I was like, what the hell is that? It looked like some piece of metal you picked up off the floor at the production site.
And funny, when I first saw it, I said, was that designed on the moon? Because we'll show you the shaping on it, and it's completely bizarre. And really obviously it doesn't, and you're a bit of a asymmetric freak, so you were like,
the OCD-ness kicks in and it doesn't fit with me OCD wise.
Because it doesn't look,
from the front, it's all right.
It doesn't look asymmetric, it doesn't look like it's balanced, it doesn't look, and yet it is phenomenal. I mean, it is phenomenal.
It definitely works. Whatever they've done, and no matter what way they've done it, it absolutely works.
And so we get this a lot, like a product will come in, it's the fastest driver you'll ever hit, it's so quick, and there are parameters in terms of design. And
there's also legal limits too.
Right, which that comes in, that's important, but this is faster.
It definitely is.
So we tested it, we hit shots with the original Epic, which had the original non-AI designed face, and then we hit them with the Epic Flash up on TrackMan, and you can clearly see the numbers there are faster.
It's 4 to 5 miles an hour. We found that quite regularly and quite consistently. So,
which will probably translate to maybe 8/10 yards.
10 yards, yeah, absolutely,
okay. So first and foremost, it works.
It definitely does.
The face works. So AI, big tick. What are we doing with it then? So I mean, it's fitting wise. What are you seeing? Who's going to be best looking for this thing? Well, obviously, if you're looking for speed.
Yeah, but I mean, we use the word distance a lot, but distance off a tee, provided it's accurate and usable, is the most important weapon that we have as golfers. So, apart from a bit of putting, but this follows second behind it.
So it's important to note that speed's one thing, but you got to get this fit. I mean, it isn't a plug and play thing, is it?
And I think from modern day fitting applications, what we tended to see is that we take a lot of little small gains together to put one big overall result.
So if I put Epic Flash here and Rogue here, because Rogue is still in the line and it's going to continue on.
Absolutely, yeah.
Tell me where you're seeing one working and where the other one working. So who's going to go into Epic Flash?
So
give us the golf.
I think, so from a starts perspective, if you're going to put this amazing science into something like this, you have to expect it to be a little bit more expensive. Okay. And then it is. So there's the first differentiation is price point.
Okay, so how much is Epic Flash going to hit the floor at?
This is going to hit the marketplace at $579 for euro, around about $499 in sterling, and something just over the 600 mark in dollars.
Okay, so first of all, you have to be willing to invest into the technology, which I think is fair.
But for the most scientifically driven, brilliant product, absolutely, of course you're going to invest in it. Anybody that wants distance, speed, control. What it does incredibly well over the original Epic is become more forgiving across the face.
Okay.
So the ball speed retention is much better. It's a much more forgiving product. You've got a much wider application of players who can play this product, where Epic was quite specific. You needed maybe a good ball striker to get anything out of it.
So would you say this was more mid to low handicapper? Is this more specific type of driver player? What are you seeing?
But I mean, the only thing... The major difference is the face, and the face equals speed. So the distance guy is the guy who has to look at this first.
Okay.
Guy who keeps struggling. But as I said, we need to look at this in a different light. So yes, we can get 8-10 yards off the face, but if we then also combine that with
the right shaft,
the right length, there's a whole load of different settings on it, weight adjustability, the best hosel I think that the industry has, because you can separate face angle and loft angle, where most people are either closing high
and you can keep the shaft in a
specific point. When you start to add those little pieces together, and a couple of miles from that, and a couple of miles from that, 4 miles from the face, and then we all know that professional golf is driving the way, but if we want to hit the ball as far as those boys do, they're machines, they're animals, they're athletes. So that strength conditioning work, you can pull that in as well. So if you want a big gain, that big gain is now possible again, where it was maybe a little bit more complicated to do in the past, because you can take 2 from that, 2 from that, 2 from that, 4 from that, and put 4 up on yourself. And then suddenly all those miles an hour added together becomes 20, 25 yards, which in most people will tell you 20 is the number.
From a shaft perspective, it's coming in a couple of shafts, but
there's a tensai and a hazardous smoke. And
I mean, that in theory is what the driver is going to do from a fitting perspective. We're really lucky that we have this super cool cutaway, which allows us to kind of look under the hood and see what's inside the driver. So I'm going to take a look at the technology now and try and explain more as to how this is working and how you could best deploy it. Okay, the big story is the face from Callaway. It's a 595C forged titanium face, the first ever insert that they've had. And the big story is on the flip side. So when you reverse it over, you won't be able to see it, and thankfully we can, is this artificial intelligence design. The way that they've designed this face, it's not done by an engineer, it's done by a supercomputer. Put in a huge amount of information relating to the head, and then it spurred out this particular design, and it definitely does work from Callaway. When you combine that then with their jailbreak technology, Dr. Hucknall talked about how this jailbreak technology, they designed it a couple of seasons ago, but when they brought it in with this face, it works even better in this driver. So you will see increased speed gains and better control because the way that the club head is braced with the 2 bars that run inside. They've also got the hosel adjustability that comes from previous model as well. Again, allows for changing the loft angle and the draw and square setting on the hosel itself. And then also their new sliding weight technology at the back allows for more of a draw, more of a fade. The bottom line with this driver is it will need to be fitted. From what I've seen when I was at their performance center is it does need the right shaft, it does need the right setup, and it does need to be brought in line with the right golfer, and then you will see increased or incremental gains, but not only from the face, but how the driver is performing to the golfer. The big story though is the way that AI is being used, and I think the future applications of this driver will be almost as good as back in the 90s when they first brought out Big Bertha, or the Great Big Bertha, and we saw titanium drivers being produced. This is almost exciting. I can't wait to see where Callaway are going to take this. We've also reviewed the Rogue Driver that we spoke about in the D&D testing, so I'm going to pop a link to that up here so you can have a look at that and see, compare the 2 drivers, because Rogue is running for the year. And also Callaway are releasing a whole host of new product that's coming down the line. We're going to have the reviews here from a fitting perspective, so you're going to want to subscribe to the channel. So till I see you in the next video, thanks for watching.